Hello, and thank you for purchasing GLL, a magical theory of choreography. I'll give you a brief outline of what Grips, Lines and Looks is all about. I would say there are three different elements to the choreography of magic, and these elements are of equal magnitude. We must view these three things with the same level of importance, and they are the sequencing of the grips, the flow lines and the looking. Now the grips is how we hold an object, literally the changing grasps of pressure, the contact points on the hand, the contact points on the object. That's the grips. The lines are the pathways of the hands through space, okay, with which we guide the audience's focus. And the looking is, of course, literally where we look. Sometimes we look at the audience, sometimes we look at the object, sometimes we look within our own minds to store and retrieve information. Grips, lines and looks are running simultaneously throughout any magical effect. Even if you're doing mentalism, you pick up a board, you hold a pen, how you hold the board, when you look at the audience, when you look at the thing, the grips, the line. The grips, the lines and the looks apply to every piece of magic. Mentalism, stage magic, close-up magic, children's magic. Every bit of magic is always grips, lines and looks running simultaneously. So what we're doing here is breaking them down and just analysing the best way to implement these sequences to get the strongest magical effect. So this is another night at the bank. It's a bank night effect, classic plot. Originally for me it was inspired by John Archer's excellent blank night effect, which I've done, probably performed it about 20 or 30 times and on stage. Goes very, very well, and I recommend you taking a look at it. I wanted an effect with 5 envelopes that were of different colours, and so I came up with this. I explained to the audience that I've got 5 envelopes here, and inside one of them there is a £5 note. 4 people are invited to choose an envelope, and it's explained that if they choose the envelope with the £5 note in, of course they get to keep it. So Xavier, I'd like you to be these 4 people. So first of all, choose an envelope, choose a colour for me.
Blue.
Blue, okay, so he comes forward, or I walk forward into the audience, hand the blue envelope. He opens it and unfortunately there's nothing there. Perhaps a business card, but no £5 note. Never mind. Someone else. Choose an envelope for me, Xavier, another one.
Pink.
Pink, okay, so he takes the pink one, hand it to him. Again, he finds there's nothing in there. So just 3 envelopes left. I walk forwards. Be person number 3, which colour would you have?
Green.
Green, okay, so he takes the green envelope, and again there's no £5 note in there. So then the last person, I do it slightly differently. I ask them to come to the foot of the stage, and I ask them to just think about one of these colours. So are you thinking about one of these colours now, Zave?
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you're thinking about the orange one, am I correct?
No.
Would you like to perhaps change your mind to the orange one?
No.
You definitely want the black one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, inside the black one there is a £5 note. I hand it to him, everybody gives him a nice round of applause, and people think that's the end of it and it's just not quite gone the way I wanted it to. But then I explained that I'm very glad that you didn't change your mind. You see, inside the orange envelope there's a £20 note. In fact, not 20, but 40, 60, 80, £100 being inside the orange envelope from the very beginning. So here's the gimmick for the Another Night at the Bank effect. It's 2 pieces of plastic that are cut just a bit larger than a £20 note. I've got another version for dollars, but this is my English version. So, and it's kind of plastic, thin plastic, or you could use cardboard. But this is a kind of plastic that you might find covering, I think it's called polyprop. And you can get it sometimes in a stationery shop. Sometimes you can buy a sketchbook that's got this as the cover and just cut it up. And it's taped with electrician's tape here and here. The £20, the 5 £20 notes go in first, and the £5 note goes on top like this. And this whole money wallet gimmick sits behind the lip of one of the envelopes, and the rest go on top like that. So 4 people are invited to choose notes. Now, if the first three people, you know, it doesn't matter which ones they choose unless they choose the blue one. That's when you're going to need to do a move, and I'm going to show you two different ways of handling that move. One way is to pull the blue one apart like that from the others, then as they come forward, reach forwards and take it like that, and what we've done is stolen it behind the second envelope. I'll show you how that looks from behind. Okay, so let's say, so they choose the blue envelope, you separate it, say, the blue one, and you come back to here, sliding the wallet just behind that one as you step forwards and hand them the blue envelope like that. Okay, so that's one way of dealing with the situation when they choose the envelope on the end. Here's another way. It requires you to be slightly different in the setup from the beginning, only in that the second envelope is preloaded behind the money wallet like this, and we're in this sort of a position. Okay, so now if they choose the orange envelope here, all I need to do is just push it to there and then hand it out like that. I don't need to take it away and put it back again as I did with the other method. The difference is that I need to be prepared for it every time. But so I've used both situations, but you know, each works okay. And now for the final, most interesting part of the routine, when we're just down to 2 envelopes. I get a spectator to come up to the foot of the stage. The reason is that I'm going to get them to come up on stage for another effect afterwards. I get them at the foot of the stage, I ask them to think about one of these colours, and then I just take a guess. And I usually just guess the one behind. I say, you thinking about the orange one? Now it's either going to say yes or they'll say no. Whatever they say, I ask them to change their mind. And this is quite nice from a climactic line script point of view, because at the end, when I pull out the £100, I'll say, but I'm so glad that you did change your mind, or I'm so glad that you didn't change your mind, because in this one there is £100. So this is the position I'm at here. If they choose the orange envelope, and if their final choice is the orange envelope, I can make the £5 come out of there by just pulling it across like this, separate, re-grip again as I open, reach in and pretend to remove the £5 from the envelope, handing it to them. The audience gives them a round of applause. Now, if they choose the blue envelope, it goes like this, open, pull the £5 out like that, and hand them the blue envelope there. And of course, all that's required now is to say, well, I'm so glad that you changed your mind. You see, in this one, there's £20. In fact, not 20, but 40, 60, 80, 100, been inside the orange envelope from the very beginning. Something with a cigarette and a lighter. Okay, so the explanation of the cigarette and the lighter in terms of grips, lines and looks, with emphasis on attention control. So we say something with a cigarette and a lighter. And what I'm doing here is getting people used to this idea that one hand comes up, bring attention to here, while the other one drops. Okay, cigarette and a lighter. And we'll use this to our advantage in just a moment. So you see these flow lines, they mirror each other, so there's a sort of a symmetry. There must generally be, I believe, be a symmetry to one's hand shape and flow lines. You see, so what happens there, as the cigarette comes to there, I position this in this grip, exactly this grip, in order to sleeve the lighter. So my longest finger, the forefinger, sits on the top of the lighter there, and the lighter, the edge of the lighter just catches on the inside of the jacket. So from the back, looks like that. Okay, now as I bring the hand up, this finger just pops it in like that. It only needs to move in just a few centimeters. But this action is hidden by the larger flamboyant action of the left hand coming around to shield the flame. So I'll do that again. And then the reproduction of the lighter happens like this. The hands drop to the side as if to say, you know, I don't know what's happening. And at this point, the lighter obviously falls into the hand, and we prepare the grip for the sleeving of the cigarette. So as we reveal the lighter here, we turn and I light, and in that action, I'm going to sleeve the cigarette as my hand comes up. So I'm actually going to be doing that. Now you can see it go from the side right now, but there'll be an extra action which is a whole body turn which will hide that moment. So it's there. Okay, the larger action hides the smaller action. And then the reproduction is, I appear to see this cigarette round here. I look, reproduce as I deposit the lighter behind my neck. There's the cigarette. We're okay. Turn, pretend to light, and it's gone again. Now my hand here is just a few inches away from this jacket pocket. As I turn around and I discover the lighter is there. And at the point that I pull it out, that's when I ditch the cigarette in my pocket here. So I just pull that in here. Now I hold it like this, or pretend to hold it like that, light, and then gone. Okay, so this is just a method I came up with for vanishing a ring from a ring box. I borrow the ring, it goes into the box like that, and then I turn and I give the box to somebody, or I put it on the table. And in that action I've stolen the ring. So it looks pretty natural, and nobody ever realizes that the ring has been stolen out. Now the thinking that goes on here, or the sequence of grips rather, is first finger and thumb gripping the box like that. And what I'm actually going to be doing is the second and third fingers here will come out and steal the ring out like this, as we now grip here and here and close. But this all happens along a flow line like this. So there's a line coming across here, and that's the flow line that the box will be travelling along. And as this happens, I will be looking directly at the spectator, perhaps asking her something or addressing her with something, not distracting her too much. I want her to be very aware that the ring is in the box, and so I want to bring focus to it. We put it in, display like this, turn, and then hand the box to the spectator or place it on the table. And in that action I've stolen it out. So we're coming around like this, and from the back it looks like this. This is the steel filmed from behind. The spectators are out there, and what I'm going to do is pinch, pull out, regrip, close, take away. And this happens in one action like that. It's very clean, very natural looking. Nobody ever suspects that the ring has been taken out. Just talk about the sequence of pressures here. First pressure point is there and there. Second point, here and here. Lift out. Then we have another moment of pressure where this finger presses against the thumb like that. and then pressure here and here as we close, take away, and as we take away we allow the ring to just sit in a finger palm position like that. So it's, I'll do this like there. So, you know, of course, with our looking, we're always looking to locate, to engage and direct. So as I look down here, I mean, I'm going to put the ring in here. I have to look, where's the slit, you know, so I'm looking to locate the slit. I'm looking to direct, focus attention, to like narrow it down, okay? And now as my hand comes along the flow line like this, I go to close the lid. This is when my looking changes from focus point round here, to engage like this as the steal happens. So in the flow it's there to the people and then addressing somebody, perhaps the person who lent me the ring or someone. This goes down on the table, or I give it directly to them. But it's very much to do with the idea that we want people to really remember this moment. We want them to look here. I'm looking here, they're looking here. Really getting, there's the ring in the box. Now, we allow their attention to relax. As we relax and we turn, I breathe out and hand it to them. Okay, so this is an effect that I use in my stage show every single time. I've got a book on symbols here, and I flick through and show that there's a different symbol written at the top of each page. And what I'm going to do is I have somebody on stage and I say, look, I'm going to flick through the book, and when you call stop, I'll stop. And I look away like this. So Xavier, as I flick through like that, just call stop.
Stop.
Okay. And then I ask them to remember the symbol just here. In fact, I then close the book and ask them to write it on a big board, but not to show anybody. Then I get a second person on stage and I explain that the first person will project the symbol from their mind into the mind of the second spectator. But in order to help them, we're going to use a classic tool of the magician, the crystal ball. And I show that there's no projectors in my sleeves, there's nothing stuck on the crystal ball, nothing written on my hands. It's perfectly clear. And I sometimes go right down to the front row and ask people to say, you know, can you see anything in there? It's perfectly clear, isn't it? Now, the first person who's chosen the symbol and written the symbol on their board starts imagining that they're projecting the symbol out into the crystal ball. And the second spectator who's up on stage is going to read their mind. They gaze into the crystal ball, and after a while they start to see an image appearing. And they're the only ones that see it. And they declare into the microphone what they saw, in this case fish, and the person turns around the board, and that's exactly the symbol they were sending, that they'd chosen from the book and they'd written down on the board. Okay, so this is my method of forcing a word from a book. It's a riffle force, essentially. And when the spectator's on stage, I'm flicking through, getting them to notice that there's a different word at the top of each page. So I'm making the point that each page is different, but at the same time I'm looking for my word. As soon as I start to know that I'm approaching my word here, I then flick away so they're now no longer looking, because I don't want them to see the word in advance. And I've found my word, fish, here. So the moment I see the word, I'm going to get a 4-finger break, all 4 fingers in there, okay, underneath. But no one will notice because of the angle that I'm holding it. It's not, I'll be holding it down like that. So the spectator will be here, or I could do it for them if they were here also. It works the same. But I'm going to do it for the camera now, as if for the eye line of the camera. So this is the 4-finger break means that this wants to spring open. So I have to close it here in order to stop it from springing open. I'm also giving you, the spectator, a view of the top of this bit here. Not, you know, just not it's kind of at an acute angle. It's not like that, it's more like this, because when I do the turnaround, I'm going to tilt it away like this. So I close like this. They call stop. Just call stop, Zave.
Stop.
Right. Now, that's where my actual brake is, and that's where he stopped me. Right. But what's going to happen is I'm going to tilt this out of line. I'll do two things at once. I'll tilt like this so you can't see the top of the book, just out of line, and at the same time 3 of those 4 fingers will push open the book, so it'll go like this. So from the back, I mean from underneath, it would look like that. Okay. So and all the time my head is turned away completely. So they say stop. I do this, turn around, and point to the word for them to remember. I then get the spectator to write down the word on a board like this, big, but don't let anyone see. So they go off to one side of the stage, they write it in a big marker pen, and they're holding the board like this. While they're doing that, I'm getting a second spectator to come up on stage in order to have them, in order to read the proposition is they're going to read the mind of this spectator. So I get someone up on stage, and I explain that we're going to use the crystal ball in order to help them. What I have got is a little image of a fish on the back of this crystal ball, but I keep it covered with my thumb. Okay, so I make a big thing about showing there's nothing in my sleeves, there's nothing written on my hand, there's nothing printed on the crystal ball, and I can show it so cleanly, nobody can see anything whatsoever because my thumb's covering it. Okay. Now I'm going to reposition in order to make the fish appear for this spectator, but I'm going to do it for the camera. And there's my fish, this is my grip. They're sort of like, the fish is 90 degrees to the finger and thumb. Right. Now as I hold this up, I can see the lights of the camera, and actually this will be the face of the spectator, and I've got to position the crystal ball so the face of the spectator is right in the centre of the crystal ball, with the fish just off to the side of it. Now if I turn like this, that fish will appear, and I know that you can see it in the camera appearing. Twist like this. But I don't want to make the twist very obvious, so I'm going to do 2 things. I am going to twist it very slowly, but the crystal ball, I'll twist it within its own space, like contact juggling. So I'm not moving it, I'm just twisting it within its space of its own shape. And at the same time, I'm actually going to bring the crystal ball like down a line here. Okay, so I'll do it now. I'm going to move the line without moving the twisting. You see, I know you see the fish appear at that point. Now, but with the combination of moving it along the line and a little twist, and the twist is, I'm actually using gravity. I'm just letting it, almost the gravity, the weight of itself is just letting it turn around as it moves across like that. So it's a combination of those 2 actions, twisting and then moving along. And it's just the right measure of each to make it seem very beautiful, very magical, like as if you're doing nothing. It's just appearing of its own volition. And as I come to here, my finger comes back on top of the fish, and now I'm completely clean again. It doesn't matter where, I could move my hand anywhere. People could look from any angle, they're not going to see anything. The only way you could see anything is if you were to look through where my thumb is, and my thumb's covering it, so it's completely clean again. Now I'm going to show you how to do this in another way. Okay, so that's our spectator. I'm going to show you how we line up the crystal ball with the eyes of the spectator. Now the fish, as I said before, is 90 degrees against the finger and thumb here. It's right, let's say right in the middle. And I angle the crystal ball so the face of the spectator is right in the centre, and you can see that all right? Yeah? Mm-hmm. It's obviously upside down, and I say right now I can see your face upside down, you see my face upside down. And I know that they can't see the fish because it's just off to the right of the face. But as soon as I twist like this, that's when the fish appears for the spectator. You see I'm twisting and moving those few inches along the line like that. Come to there, and that will have been a beautiful appearance of the fish for that spectator. But this is how we're using the spectators looking and our looking to create a perfect illusion. Okay, so I'm going to show you the floating note. Now I use the method of John Leclerc, and I recommend that you get his book, The Art of Invisible Thread. There's some wonderful material in there and what I consider to be the best hookup for a floating note. And I use this all the time when I'm working close-up. I mean, I really would just do this at least 10 times a night, at very least. So I'm not going to explain the hookup and the method. I recommend you go to John Leclerc for that. But the reason I want to show this is I want to talk a little bit about the grips, even more about the flow lines, and also about the looking. You see, this is an effect where I don't look at the audience until the very end. And it's quite an interesting phenomenon. This is this is something where the audience engages with the effect. They're watching the magician playing in his magical world, if you like, and it's quite I find it a very good opener for a table. I'll borrow a note off somebody and I'll proceed to float it, but then without looking at anybody. And right at the end I look up at people, and I will have got all their attention, and they start clapping. So sometimes you need to keep a rhythm of looking, like you're looking around, bouncing around, looking at everybody, look at the object, look at the people, look at the object, look at the people. But then other times you let them observe you, and then it's just right at the end, pow, a big look. Okay, so here we go. So, yeah, you noticed I saved the looking at the audience right to the very end, and this is one of the few effects that I do like that, where I don't look at the audience until the very end. Actually, a friend of mine called Naki Ataman, who's a pianist that I work with sometimes on cruise ships, one of the best headline acts I've worked with on the ships. He's a pianist. He comes on stage. He nods to the audience, then he turns his back to them and plays piano for 1 hour without stopping, and never looks at the audience once. Seems to go against all the rules of performance. But when he turns round at the end and looks at the audience, they just jump up and applaud, standing ovation every single time. Definitely the strongest reaction I've seen on a headline act on the cruise ships. And he never looks at the audience once until the end. So it's an interesting situation, and I think what's happening is that they are enjoying it, and because there's no end to each song, each piece of music blends into the next one and goes. At the audience, we don't get a chance to kind of acknowledge him until right at the very end. So we're really kind of almost desperate to tell him how much we're enjoying the show. And this on a much smaller scale is what's happening with the note. The magic happens for a couple of minutes, or a minute or so, and people they want to tell you it's good, but they don't want to say anything to ruin the moment. And then when you finally open it out and then look at them, then they start clapping, and it's a great opener for a table. So this is something I say I don't look at the audience and I don't speak also. But these first few movements are obviously all about the grips, preparing, and now the levitation is very much about the flow lines. So as I pull, I'm sure John Leclerc won't mind me saying his hook up is from the finger to the ear, and I'm literally going to just pull back as the note moves on the hand. So sometimes that's the beginning of the effect, just a little bit of movement like that of the head, and people are like, whoa, wow, what's happening there? And there's three things going on here to make this move. There's the where I position my hand, there's where I'm moving my head back, so moving my hand away, moving my head back, and the third one, which was in the John Leclerc lecture, is to turn the head like this. So combining those three subtle motions together, we get a very nice levitation of the note. What I like to do here at this point is I'll move my head a little bit but keep the note in the same spot. So the anchor point of my ear is staying in the same place, but I'm moving my head a little bit. So just go up to there, you see what I mean? We go there and then it's like, oh, just move my head a little bit. My hand comes under, you see this? Think of this as the flow line. Hand comes across there, above, and now at this moment the second hand follows and they become mirrored. And then both hands move like this, like that, and down. It's a bit like it's like a spiral, like a helter-skelter going around like that. That's the way the note moves. So I'll just show you that again. It's taken me a while to figure out the best flow lines for this. Around, almost like it's escaping, and then it comes back. We're here, there, and then this hand comes back as we let it land. And the undoing is quite crucial at this point. Everything's very focused in this small spatial framework. Everybody's looking here. We open, still not looking at the audience yet. And now I look at the audience, separate the hands, widen the spatial frame. They relax and start clapping. So I'm going to show you a classic of magic, the Akito coin box. Just coin goes in the box. Now, basically what we're doing here is turning the box around secretly, like that. That's the move. And the way I do this is my first grip is finger and thumb holding the box and the lid together like that. As this hand approaches, my third finger here pulls the box down, and my second finger goes above the box, and my first finger goes below the box of my right hand. Okay? I then rotate it round, replacing the lid on the box as I pass the box from one hand to the other, and immediately do a shake like that. So just show you that again. In the flow we are like that. Then we're going to steal the coin out of the box by lifting the box up and taking the coin away like this. So you see the flow line of the box, it's going around here to there, so it's there. And the coin is brought up into classic palm, and we squeeze. And at the moment that I have it, I open the hand as much as I can, with it still looking relaxed and natural while the coin is palmed. Okay, so there. Excuse me, try that again. And at this point, I look up at the audience, or an audience member, with a look of, I suppose it's anticipation. It's a look of something is about to happen. Okay, so we're here, and then we look back here. What's very important at this point is not to look at the audience right now, because the magic has just happened, and we need to allow the audience what Tommy Wonder calls emotional sanctuary. So our glare is not impinging on their emotional experience of the effect. We give them a little privacy. Just the moment it happens, we're still enjoying the magic ourselves. Then I go from here, and my finger comes underneath the box. As I let it fall, it rotates around like that to correct itself. Okay. Then the lid drops on there, and now at this point we look at the audience and we share in the way. It's a look of, whatever look suits your character, but a kind of, wasn't that amazing? The other look prior to the effect is the something's going to happen, and now it's the, wow, something happened, did you see that? So they're two very distinctly different. One's a sort of setup expression, and one's a post expression type of look. Okay, so obviously this is yet another 3-fly routine. I use this quite a bit when I'm working tables and walk around magic, and it uses I think it's called a tuck coin made by Tango Magic. It's a shell coin, but it's rather interesting because it kind of locks in, and to pop it out we just pop on one edge, push, and it comes across like this. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so what's happening is these two are obviously normal coins, and I'm stealing out one of the coins as I dislodge the tuck coin. Okay, so to show you this from there, it just sort of sits on like a ledge of the pinky, and we push over like this as we gesture 3 coins. The first production, we are going to move the hands like this, and the larger action will be the production of this coin. So, and it's quite interesting the grip of this. I use gravity a lot here. Right now I'm using gravity to just sit it on the ledge of the pinky. Okay. When I come towards the audience, we have this open palm view, but we're there, and now it's resting on the pinky. And to produce the coin, I'm literally going to, my thumb will come here, my finger will, so now I'll just hold it between this finger and thumb, but gravity will allow it to come around to there. So it's like, yeah, it's quite an interesting production of a coin. And it's rather a flamboyant gesture, and doing something like this, and because I'm looking here and it appears there, there's no way I don't have to be quick about making this one pop into the shell. I can just get it going gently and quietly. See, the first vanish really the first one going across is silent. You don't hear anything. There's nothing for it to meet. Okay, so we're here, and then it's wow, and then we look back here. We allow, it's like I'm absorbing what's happened, the audience is absorbing what's happened, and then I look up with that, amazing, isn't it? Or that what we're calling it, shared wonder. Anyway, this coin's got to come back to there, because I'm going to steal it back again in just a moment. So it's kind of illogical that would come back to there, but it doesn't really matter, because magically the coin's popped across here, and now we're looking at the audience and we're just popping it back as if to say, you know, in that moment, we're preparing for the next bit, but as far as they're concerned, that could be the whole thing. So now, when my hands come back here, I'm going to steal this coin as I take that one and pop open the shell again. So from the front, it looks like this. And I just gesture, and that's my sort of motivation for coming across like that. And now, obviously to vanish this, all we do is pop it in here like that, but that's not going to be where the attention is. The attention is going to be over here on the production of the second coin, which will happen like that. Be quite a, whoa. And the noise helps with this. So we're literally going from this position. There's a little bit of an inertia to it actually, but we're going from there to there, and it's hard to do it slowly. You have to, yeah. When I was doing this before, there used to be a very big difference in the shape of my hands from before the coin appeared to when it appeared. So I've been trying to work on the hands remaining the same shape. Okay. And then we put this coin here like that, the same phenomenon. It's like at this moment we look up at the audience, wow, what's going on? That kind of a look. And this time we take back a normal coin from the middle, and what we're going to do here is put that to that position, but as we look here in this hand, secretly what I'm going to do is allow that one to fall into finger palm as I pop open the tuck coin. So it goes like this. I'll just get that right again. Here we go. So let me just get it in the flow.
Right.
Yeah, so it's there, there, there. Now my hands come back to here, but of course I've now stolen this in the meantime. And now what I'm going to do is pretend to throw this, but I'm actually going to take it into a back palm. So a back palm clip like that. And with this, I'm going to throw, and I imagine the coin with my, I'm projecting it into this world from my eyes as I follow it to come, and it appears here. And what's interesting is that the coin goes, bang, but the instant that that coin appears here, that is when we come back to the front palm and we're round here. I used to do it this way. I used to go bang, bang, and then do the clean up here. And it's just wrong. It needs to happen at the same time, I realised. It's sort of one, boom. And now, so there's no way they see anything funny about this, bringing this round into the front palm. And this hand is naturally coming up here just to greet the other two coins. So let's try that again. Well, there's the first one, the second one, and then the third one joins 1 and 2. Here's a coin change for you. And this fits rather nicely with David Roth's Spellbound routine. So I'm not going to explain David Roth's Spellbound coin moves, but I thoroughly recommend that you look out for them and learn them. There's some excellent material there. This move that I use, well, it started as a vanish. I would use it as a vanish like this, and it was like, I don't know, like a pivot. So it pivots around like that. My thumb pivots it as I pretend to take. Okay. But then I realised I can have a coin finger palmed here, pivot it round, and just replace the coin and keep it up here. So you get this sort of a thing. So this thumb connects to this part of the coin and pivots it round, and immediately the hands twist, and then I reposition, re-grip over there. So in the flow it's there, there, like that. Turn it around to show the other side. Do it again.
Just keep it.
It's particularly nice because we, straight after the change, we have both hands appearing to be empty. I think that's why this works so well. So here's something with a single coin, and it's rather a nice vanish. Of course, I just kept it in a finger clip here, and what happens, I'm tossing it from hand to hand, relaxing the vision with a certain kind of rhythm, so that when I finally do the final throw, they'll believe that they saw it pop across. I'm also waiting for the right moment when it hits a spot that I can work with. This is a good spot because this finger, the coin is just protruding past this finger just a little bit. So when the first finger comes down and contacts, it pivots up and I can grip comfortably there. Okay. Now of course I have to be careful of this thumb popping up like that, the tension in the hand. Just relax the hand completely, just getting the only tension being the point from here to here, just coming together. That's the grip. Okay, so we toss back and forth, and then we do the vanish. So to reproduce the coin, we just slide across like this, and what we're doing of course is just connecting with the third finger, pivoting round to show the coin like this, all under the cover of this hand swooping across like that. And it's a Raven-esque style move. But we can make the coin vanish just as easily by connecting these two fingers, rotating around and going into a back clip. And so from this is more of a, you should be looking down for this really, but I'll do it for the camera at that angle. You get the general idea. So this is an effect that I use regularly in cruise ships, and I show the audience I've got an envelope here, a board in there, and I explain there's something written on the other side of the board. I need a participant. They do not need to come up on stage. So Xavier, just be that participant for me. I want you to imagine that there is a circle, a triangle and a square floating before your eyes. Okay? Yeah. And one of them just floats upwards away from the others. Which one is it?
The circle.
The circle. So you still have a triangle and a square remaining. Mentally, I want you to send one over to me, just in your mind. Okay, did you send me the square?
No.
Oh, you sent me the triangle. Okay, well give me a number to go inside that triangle, a single digit number.
8.
8, okay. So Xavier, you thought of a triangle with the number 8, right?
Yep.
Okay, so here's the explanation. I force triangle. It's always going to be a triangle. And the way that I force this is they have the three shapes in front of them. And when I say one of them floats upwards, and if it's the triangle, obviously that's fine. Then I just say I want you to picture a number inside the triangle. That happens. If they say one of the other two, let's say the circle goes up. I say, well, all right, well, so we're left with a triangle and a square. Now, just mentally, send one over to me. And I always guess the other one. In this case, it would be the square if the circle's gone up. I'll say, were you sending me the square? If they say yes, I say, yeah, so you chose to hang on to your, I thought so. You chose to hang on to the triangle. And that's fine because it appears like I've guessed correctly, and it also appears like they've chosen the triangle because that's what is remaining. If I say, were you sending me the square? And he says no, I say, oh, you sent me the triangle. Okay, well, I want you to put a number inside that triangle, a single digit number. Okay, so that's the way the force of the triangle works. It's very, very strong. Each one of those three outcomes is equally good. Now, as for the number, I have all the numbers on the back of the board here, and they come through this window onto my triangle. And there's a couple of magnets in here, and there's magnets in the back, in the top and bottom of each one of these numbers. So if they say, like he said, the number 8, I just push it across there. You know, if he said 4, just push it in like this. But what's interesting in terms of the looking, we're talking about the spectator's interior world, and the audience is their imagination essentially. So we're seeing a triangle, a circle, and a square. So everybody's imagining these things, and the person's imagining them, and I'm imagining them. So this is how we're blending our interior world with the real world. Now, when he says a number, so he says number 8, I'm in this position, and I'm looking for the number that he says. So I look to locate the number, and I move it across into position as I'm actually recapping what has apparently taken place. So although I'm locating something in the real world and operating something in the real world, I'm apparently thinking in my interior world. I'm saying, you chose a triangle with the number 8 inside it. So you see, I'm just sort of gazing down as if I'm gazing not in the real world, just in my own world, recapping what was done. So I think it's quite an interesting example of apparently being in my interior world, but actually being in the exterior world. And yeah, so whatever number they say, you just move it across here, and just a couple of words on disguising that movement. Let's say you might need to move all the way to there and to here. So that's a little bit of movement. Now from the front, if you were just watching this, which without any attention control, this is what you'd see. And in order to disguise that, I've got what I'm saying and the fact that I'm going to turn the whole object. So I'm going to put number 2 in. I'll say, so Xavier, you thought of the number 2 inside a triangle. So by turning the thing, that larger action completely hides the smaller action of shifting the thing around. Number 5 is right the way over here. So let's say if they said 5, I would go from here, and then I come across to there and grip. Well, actually, I'll let you see from the front. So this is an awkward one, number 5. So Xavier, you thought of number 5 inside a triangle. Boom. Let's say we were going to go for number 6. Again, that's quite there's a little bit of distance I have to go. So I'll reposition to here. So you thought of a triangle. Inside the triangle was a number 6,